Chapter 4. Stop, think, and analyze yourself. A man's true greatness lies in the consciousness of an honest purpose in life, founded on a just estimate of himself and everything else, on frequent self-examinations, and a steady obedience to the rule which he knows to be right, without troubling himself about what others may think or say, or whether they do or do not do that which he thinks and says and does. Marcus Aurelius. I take it there isn't an intelligent man or woman who isn't really interested in getting ahead, but I have often wondered if there isn't a negative quality or some inertia in most of us which precludes us from getting started. I repeat to you an old story. Down on a levee in Mississippi, two men were dozing. One of them yawned, stretched his arms, and sighed. Gee, I wish I had 1,000,000 watermelons. The other guy asked, Joe, if you had 1,000,000 watermelons, would you give me half of them? No, sir. Would you give me a quarter of them? No, I wouldn't give you a quarter of them. Joe, if you had 1,000,000 watermelons, wouldn't you give me even 10 of them? No, sir, I wouldn't give you 10 of them. Well, wouldn't you give me one lousy watermelon? Say, Sam, I wouldn't give you even a bite of one if I had 1,000,000 watermelons. Why not, Joe? Because you're too lazy to wish for yourself. There's much to be gleaned from that story. You'll understand as I proceed. I am fully cognizant that some will scoff. There have always been scoffers, but scoffers never succeed. They never get any place in life, but simply become envious, while the doer or the person who is moving forward has to jump over or go around them. They have nothing but a nuisance value in life. Some of you may dismiss all of this as you have done before, as you always will, but for those of you who are interested and are still willing to learn, I promise you, you can learn and make progress for yourself. It is easier to go with the current than fight against it, but you must harmonize with others, with everything around you. In the words of a great philosopher, no longer let thy breathing only act in concert with the air which surrounds thee, but let thy intelligence also now be in harmony with the intelligence which embraces all things. It requires little effort to breathe, but it does require the expenditure of energy to think. It shouldn't be necessary for me to explain further that I am suggesting that you put yourself in tune with the very stream of life itself. You who understand will appreciate that nature provides ways and means for all things to grow rightly. Meditate for a moment, and you'll realize I am giving truths which many may have forgotten. There's the great fundamental law of compensation, which makes all things right. There's no set rule for doing anything, because some of us perform one way and some another, just as two people might go across the river. One goes by one bridge and one by another, but they both ultimately get to their destination. In other words, after all is said and done, it's results that count. And if you will make up your mind to exactly what you want and follow the simple rules which are given herein, everything you are after will be yours. The time has come for you to stop and think and analyze yourself. Just what do you believe about yourself, and why? Do you believe that you are getting out of life what you should? Do you believe you are giving to life what you should? Life, you know, is not a one-way street. It's a gift to you from God, the great Creator. But from the moment you are born, you're basically on your own. You have to draw the first breath to live, and you have to keep on breathing if you wish to remain on earth. You have to take reasonable care of your body, or you will suffer some form of ill health. You have to use your head and what is inside it for something more than a hat rack. If you don't, you won't get very far with either your mind or your body. The condition you are in right now largely depends upon what you have been thinking and doing to and for yourself all your life. Nothing just happened to you by accident. You are the sum total of all the causes and effects you have set up in yourself through your mental and emotional attitudes. Their end result is the you that you are right this minute. Take a look in the mirror. Study every physical movement. It tells a story. Each move you make marks your personality in outer expression. Examine that look on your face. It indicates the way you think. Your eyes, how do they appear to you? Are they clear, steady, and direct? The person you see in the mirror is the one the other person sees. What kind of an impression do you wish to make on him? That's entirely up to you. You know whether or not you have personality. If it is absent or undeveloped, make up your mind to get it. You can and you will when you make up your mind and do as suggested herein. What is personality? What is it when you get in the presence of another person who has personality that grips you? What is it that causes you to feel his very presence, that overshadows you? It's nothing more than a dynamic force coupled with willpower which he is drawing from that huge reservoir of the subconscious. There are millions of people who have this personality. Some say it's natural with them, and perhaps it is. But they are unconsciously using this power. It has been thrust upon them, or they have developed it without realizing, early in life. And when that thing called personality is backed up with willpower, things move. The appealing personality belongs to that man or woman who possesses self-confidence, self-assurance. These are people with a purpose. They know where they're going and they know how to get there. And this intensity of purpose shows on their face. They have poise. They attract others to them as a magnet attracts iron filings. Everyone just groups around a radiant personality. When you get to know yourself, you can develop this same intensity of purpose, this determination to get ahead. And shortly, this determination will show in your eyes, your speech, your actions. You have heard people say that a certain person has a penetrating gaze, that he looks right through one. What is it? Nothing more than that fire from within, intensity, or whatever you wish to call it, which means that the person who has that gaze usually gets what he wants. He compels, commands, attracts. Remember, the eyes are the windows of the soul. Look at the photographs of successful men. Study their eyes, and you will find that every one of them has that intensity. Therefore, I say, let it be reflected in the way you walk, in the way you carry yourself, and it will not be long before people will feel your presence when you walk through a crowd, and an individual prospect will feel that personality when you talk with him. To my way of thinking, selling bonds, books, clothes, insurance, electric service, washing machines, is no different from selling any other commodity, selling yourself or selling ideas. I have found that in trying to put over an idea, first I have had to believe in myself, then in the idea and my ability to sell both myself and the idea. I have also found that you have got to know what you are talking about, and only hard, personal, persistent, intelligent study will enable you to do this. How much do you know about yourself, about others, and the world you live in. The kind of personality you are expressing depends upon this knowledge. You can't express yourself with ease and assurance and authority unless you possess an awareness of self, of others, and of the world. Awaken. Know what is going on about you. Get understanding. You can develop and expand your personality by keeping step with the world's affairs. Keep informed. Find out all you can that is of interest about the people you have met or are to meet, so you'll have much more in common to talk about. You never know what a new friend or prospect may be interested in, and it's sometimes necessary to get his attention or your break through entirely irrelevant subjects. You can't always start a conversation about the weather or your aches and pains. Read the newspapers, current periodicals, listen to the important radio newscasts and television commentators. Use your eyes and ears. Be sure you're up to date. I don't mean to cover every detail of a murder or a suicide, but get a digest of all the day's activities at home and abroad. It will enlarge your perspective. Never forget, knowledge is power. That may sound like an old bromide, but brother, it's true. Who wants to listen to an uninformed, ignorant, self-centered individual? Increase your knowledge, and the scope of your activities and interests will be greatly increased, as will the desire for greater things, larger things. As your desire expands, the things which you previously thought you wanted will become to your mind trivial and will be disregarded, which is another way of saying that you ultimately will hitch your wagon to a star, and when you do, you'll move with lightning-like speed. Study, learn, and work. Develop a keenness of observation. Step on the gas. Do better than that. Get jet propulsion. Become alive for yourself, and you'll pass on this aliveness to the other fellow. You'll pep him up just by being in his presence. Some of your magnetism will rub off on him, and he will like you for it. You've heard people say, I get a big kick out of being with so-and-so. He always gives me a lift. Get confidence, enthusiasm. Let loose some of that inner fire, that something, and you'll set up light vibrations all around you. That's the theory of all life, as old as the world itself. Like begets like. Tap, tap, tap. I'm repeating that statement, and I don't care how many times you've heard it before. Perhaps if I repeat it often enough, tap, 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 you'll never forget it. Like begets like. A laugh brings a laugh. A good deed calls for a good deed. Riches beget riches. Love, love. You go on from there. It works. It's contagious. The old law of attraction never fails. But don't get the idea that I am giving you an oversized wishbone, and all you have to do is sit down and start talking to yourself, and by using repetition, get what you want. It's not that easy. You have got to have the wishbone backed up with a backbone, and that isn't all. The wishbone and the backbone must be coordinated and synchronized to a point where they are operating in perfect harmony. When they are in tune, you will find personality developing. Then put action, energy into your scheme, and everything will move before you. I take it that all of us have admired that intense type of person. I mean by that one whose shoulders are back, whose chest is out, whose head is up, and whose eyes are alert. It is easy to pick out in any organization those whose feet lag, whose shoulders droop, whose chins sag, and whose eyes are a blank. Drifters, loafers, quitters. Discover your faults. First, measure yourself. Then study those with whom you are associated, and you can tell, at almost a glance, those who will make progress and those doomed to failure. Are you close to that category? If you are, snap out of it. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. William Shakespeare wrote that, as you know, and it's plain to be seen in his writings that he knew and used this inner power in his life. He rose high above the commonplace and won for himself an immortal niche in the literary hall of fame through reliance upon the creative power within. Yes, the fault is in yourself if you are not what you want to be and where you want to be. If you are timid, backward, in a rut, and an underling, it is because of yourself. Blame not the stars. Blame not society. Blame not the world. Blame yourself. Again, I say change gears. Get out of low and shift into high. Start picturing what you really want to be, and you'll start to move. Take warning that thought can operate in reverse. You can go backward through wrong thinking just as fast as you can go forward through right thinking. This kind of reverse thinking has brought on depressions and can bring on depressions again. If the mind of man becomes panicky, if enough individuals become obsessed with fear and greed, if the psychology of scarcity sweeps through the land, if great numbers of people become too demanding or move too strongly in a certain direction, stock markets can become upset and the economy of the world can be affected. You know, when you are depressed, you tend to depress those around you. When the barometer falls, it's a sign of storm conditions. A turned-down mouth has led to many turndowns. Don't carry your griefs and troubles around with you. No one wants to share them. People have griefs and troubles enough of their own. Stop your moping. Picture yourself wrapping up your griefs and troubles in a nice little neat bundle and leaving them by the roadside. Better yet, see yourself dropping them off a bridge so they'll float away on the stream and never come back again. You say, but it can't be done. And I answer, is it helping you solve your problems and your heartaches, letting them weigh you down in mind and body all the time? Get out from under. You can't be yourself. It is impossible to make the right impression on others, to attract good things to you, when you are staggering under a load of things that have already happened, which can no longer be helped and which cannot be cured by moping about. If worry had the power to solve a problem, I would worry 24 hours a day, and I'd ask you to help me. But worry, unhappily, only multiplies your troubles. Line up all the chronic worriers in the world, and they would reach almost to the moon and back. You've seen many men and women who look as if they were going to cloud up and rain any minute. They belong to the loyal order of sad sacks and crepe hangers. Everything that happens to them is bad or going to be bad. They've temporarily lost the capacity to see good in anything. They can't enjoy the present because they are bemoaning the past and afraid of the future. One of the wisest men I ever knew, a man high in mental and spiritual development, said to me, "Never for one moment forget this. Life is an individual proposition. No matter how much you may wish at times to shift responsibility for your thoughts and acts to others, or to escape from the consequences of certain experiences in which you have become involved, you are living in a world of cause and effect, a world in which nothing actually happens by accident, and you, yourself, set up the causes by your own thinking, good or bad, for the things that happen to you. I have proved this time and again in my own life, and so have you if you will only admit it to yourself. But when I've made this statement to some men and women, they've said to me, "That's a frightening thought. Do you mean that I have attracted failure, economic need, ill health, dislike, loss of friends, unhappiness?" And when I have told such people, "Yes, if any of these conditions have come upon you, you have your own self to blame," they said, "But we didn't picture these things." No, perhaps they didn't, directly. They didn't see themselves failing, running short of funds, suffering a nervous breakdown, growing unpopular, losing friends, ending up unhappy. But their mental attitudes were expressed in this kind of thought: "Wouldn't you just know this would happen to me? There's no use trying. I just can't do it. I don't want to meet him or her. I know I won't like them. It's just my luck to have this happen. I'm always getting the worst of it. Oh, I feel so bad I wish I could die. I'm going broke. There's no way out. Yes, I'm feeling fairly well today, but this doesn't mean anything. I'll probably feel worse tomorrow." Aren't these wonderful suggestions? Can you possibly picture, with the knowledge of mind you have now, how any of these thoughts could attract good? On the contrary, this kind of thinking can only bring one result. Yet many of us, carelessly, in moments of emotional depression, give voice to such thoughts and then wonder why so many things go wrong in our lives. Prepare yourself to face anything. So, take stock of yourself. We are living, as you know, in a terrific age, an amazing age. To many whose minds are unprepared, it is a bewildering, frightening age. The tempo of life and development is increasing at a rapid rate. Things are unfolding almost too fast for the mind of man to grasp. More and more earth-shaking developments are on the way. Much that was considered impossible a few years ago has already been accomplished. Anything may happen from now on, and probably will. You must train yourself to be mentally alert, to maintain an open mind, to make contact with your creative power within, so you can adapt yourself to the changes that are coming, so you will have the insight, the understanding, and the courage to meet them. You must learn how to perceive the truth, to accept what appeals to your past experience, your reason, and your intuition, and to reserve judgment on all things with which you are unfamiliar until you can prove them out or test them in your own life. It is not enough for you to learn the laws of mind. You must learn how to use your mind in accordance with these laws. You've heard the old adage, faith without works is dead. You must work with yourself if you would develop the creative power within, so it can do what it has done and is doing for others. The fortunate men and women of the world are those who know how to visualize, how to eliminate their fears and worries, how to remain inwardly calm and poised, no matter what the circumstances, how to assume a positive mental attitude, and how to retain emotional stability under pressure. This should be your great goal in life, to realize a like attainment. It will be your only guidance and protection in this fast-moving world of today. Abandon all limited thinking. Prepare your mind now by putting aside all narrow and limited thinking. Never say again that anything is impossible, no matter how impossible it may seem at the moment. Don't restrict and shackle your mind by small and prejudiced thinking. Free your consciousness of feelings of resentment, antagonism, hate, and like emotional reactions toward others. This kind of thought is keeping you from thinking straight, from getting the right perspective toward others and yourself. They are holding you back from progress, preventing your creative power from working through you. You can overcome the effects that wrong thinking has had upon you. But to do this, you must gain emotional control. You must learn how to relax your physical body, how to make your conscious mind passive, and how to place the right pictures of what you desire in mind. You must learn how to release the hold that past mistakes, now stored in consciousness, have upon you. Since like attracts like, tap, 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 I'm repeating this again, good attracts good, and bad attracts bad. It's as simple as that, but you can't straighten yourself out without facing your past. Men and women say to me, but I'm trying to forget my past. Alas, the mind doesn't operate that way. What it takes into consciousness, it hangs on to, unless you, through an act of recognition, resolution, and will, change the picture, or let go of it. How often do you let yourself be upset about something someone does or says? You store the picture of each incident and feeling in mind. When you think of this person, you call up the same feelings against him until you have overcome them. If you don't change them, they exist as irritations in consciousness. Irritations eventually find their reflection in some disturbed body condition or illness, or an unhappy human experience. Do you want to permit these past irritations to attract similar disturbances in your future? Then get busy and eliminate them from your consciousness. Stop kidding yourself. You will have to do your own analyzing. You know yourself better than any close friend or relative can ever know you. You may have been able to mask your real feelings and thoughts from others, but you can tell, deep down within, what you really think and feel about anything or anybody. If these thoughts and feelings are not good, get busy and make them good. Forgive others for what they've done to you. Assume your share of the blame. Don't hold resentments or grudges or hates. They are poisoning your mind and your body, upsetting the chemistry of your physical organism, making you susceptible to all manner of possible diseases and illnesses. Doctors now attribute such afflictions as arthritis, rheumatism, shingles, some forms of epilepsy, and many other illnesses to nervous and emotional disturbances. It has even been found that many who have cancer can retard its progress if they can control their emotions and maintain an optimistic, fearless attitude toward it. That something in mind has unlimited power to overcome, to heal, to create, to attract, once you learn how to use it. The development of this power is up to you. Are you willing to put forth the effort? If you are, go with me from chapter to chapter, studying and applying, studying and applying. And when we reach the end of this journey together, you will have the answer to your problems, and you will be on your successful, happy way alone.